Welcome back. Today we will learn about the chilling possibility that little Rachel Black might be under the sinister influence of Stefano DiMera's restless spirit. This extraordinary theory could explain the shocking events that have rocked Salem to its very core, particularly the mysterious shooting of E.J. DiMera that has left the entire community searching for answers. The Phoenix's supernatural return to Salem. Recent developments in Salem have taken an otherworldly turn, with mounting evidence suggesting that Stefano DiMera's malevolent spirit has somehow transcended death itself. The legendary villain, known throughout his decades-long reign of terror as the Phoenix for his countless resurrections, may have found a new way to torment the living even from beyond the grave. This supernatural theory gains credibility when we consider Salem's long history with demonic possessions and spiritual manipulations that have plagued its residents for years. Susan Banks, with her newly enhanced psychic abilities, has become the town's unofficial spiritual barometer, and her recent revelations are nothing short of terrifying. During a deeply unsettling encounter at the DiMera mansion, Susan experienced powerful supernatural sensations that left both E.J. and Chad DiMera visibly shaken. Her psychic powers, which have evolved from simple telepathic flashes to full communication with deceased spirits, detected an unmistakable presence lurking within the walls of the family estate. The intensity of these visions was so overwhelming that Susan immediately recognized the dark, calculating energy that could only belong to one person, Stefano DiMera himself. What makes Susan's psychic revelations even more compelling is the timing of these supernatural encounters. Her abilities seem to have intensified precisely when strange events began occurring around young Rachel Black, suggesting a direct correlation between Stefano's spiritual presence and the child's increasingly erratic behavior patterns. The psychic medium's warnings about imminent danger have created an atmosphere of dread throughout Salem, as residents wonder who might become the next victim of the Phoenix's posthumous schemes. Rachel Black's disturbing behavioral transformation. The evidence pointing toward Rachel's involvement in her uncle's shooting extends far beyond mere circumstantial coincidences. Young Rachel Black has been exhibiting a series of deeply troubling behaviors that paint a picture of a child under supernatural influence. Her recent nightmares, which occur with increasing frequency and intensity, often involve violent imagery and cryptic references to events she shouldn't logically know about. These aren't typical childhood fears, they're vivid, detailed visions that seem to contain fragments of adult memories and sophisticated criminal knowledge. Perhaps most disturbing is Rachel's inexplicable fascination with the Arabian Nights, the very same book that Stefano DiMera once used as a tool for psychological manipulation and mind control. The child's obsession with this particular literary work cannot be dismissed as mere coincidence, especially considering her young age and the book's complex, adult-oriented themes. Her repeated requests to read passages from this tome suggest something far more sinister than innocent curiosity. It's as if she's being drawn to it by an external force that recognizes its historical significance in Stefano's arsenal of psychological weapons. The most chilling aspect of Rachel's transformation involves her apparent memory gaps surrounding the night of E.J.'s shooting. When questioned about the traumatic events, the child displays an unsettling inability to recall specific details, almost as if her consciousness was temporarily displaced during the crucial moments. This selective amnesia, combined with her reported confession about hearing gunshots during what should have been a peaceful family celebration, creates a deeply disturbing pattern that suggests external manipulation of her young mind. Additionally, Rachel's behavior around both E.J. and Johnny DiMera has become increasingly erratic and unpredictable. Family members have noted her strange mood swings, ranging from inappropriate anger toward her uncle to inexplicable moments of what can only be described as calculating coldness, emotions that seem far too sophisticated and malevolent for a child her age to naturally possess. The shooting investigation, unraveling a supernatural crime. The investigation into E.J. DiMera's shooting has revealed several crucial pieces of evidence that support the theory of supernatural interference. The discovery of the murder weapon in a flower pot outside the DiMera mansion represents perhaps the most telling clue in the entire case. The gun's hiding place, barely concealed and easily discoverable, suggests the work of someone with limited criminal experience and childlike thinking patterns. An adult perpetrator would have disposed of the weapon far more carefully, yet the shallow concealment perfectly matches the logic of a frightened child attempting to hide evidence of a terrible deed. Roman Brady's immediate discovery of the weapon upon arriving at the crime scene further supports this theory, as the hiding spot was so obvious that even a cursory search revealed its location. This amateur approach to evidence disposal stands in stark contrast to the sophisticated criminal minds typically associated with DiMera family vendettas, suggesting that the actual shooter lacked the experience and cunning of Salem's usual suspects. Marlena Evans' hypnosis sessions with EJ have yielded particularly intriguing results that seem to support the supernatural possession theory. During these therapeutic encounters, EJ has been able to recall fragments of the shooting incident, including clear memories of seeing the perpetrator. However, his descriptions of the shooter remain frustratingly vague and inconsistent, as if his memory is being deliberately obscured by some external force. EJ's inability to clearly identify the face of his attacker despite having a direct view of them suggests that what he witnessed was not entirely human, or that the human vessel was being controlled by something else entirely. The hypnosis sessions have revealed that EJ's mental blockage isn't due to trauma or physical injury, but rather seems to stem from a supernatural interference that's actively preventing him from accessing certain memories. This psychological manipulation bears all the hallmarks of Stefano's influence, as the deceased patriarch was notorious for his ability to control and alter human consciousness through various means. The supernatural connection, Stefano's posthumous influence. The theory that Stefano DiMera's spirit has somehow possessed or influenced young Rachel Black gained substantial credibility when examined alongside Salem's extensive history of supernatural occurrences. The timing of these events cannot be ignored. Susan Banks' psychic detection of Stefano's presence coincided almost exactly with the beginning of Rachel's behavioral changes and the subsequent shooting incident. Dr. Wilhelm Rolf, Stefano's longtime associate and mad scientist, may not be involved in this particular resurrection attempt. Unlike previous instances where Rolf used advanced technology and scientific methods to bring Stefano back to life, this situation appears to involve purely supernatural forces. The absence of Rolf's technological intervention suggests that Stefano's spirit has found an alternative pathway to influence the living world, one that bypasses the need for complex medical procedures or scientific experimentation. The connection between Rachel and her grandfather extends beyond mere genetics. Stefano's well-documented obsession with controlling and manipulating his family members, even from beyond the grave, provides a compelling motive for his spiritual interference. Throughout his lifetime, the DiMera patriarch demonstrated an unparalleled ability to influence and corrupt those around him, often targeting the most vulnerable members of his extended family. Rachel's youth and innocence would make her an ideal vessel for someone seeking to exert control without arousing immediate suspicion. Furthermore, Stefano's historical pattern of using children and young people as pawns in his elaborate schemes establishes a precedent for this type of manipulation. His spirit may have recognized Rachel's potential utility as an unwitting agent of revenge, particularly given her proximity to EJ and her ability to move freely within the DiMera household without raising suspicion. The mysterious case of Marlena's visions. An additional layer of supernatural complexity emerges from Marlena Evans' recent experiences with disturbing dreams and visions related to Stefano DiMera. These aren't ordinary nightmares. They're vivid, detailed encounters that seem to contain specific information about past events and future threats. Marlena's dreams about the Queen of the Night scenarios, which directly reference Stefano's historical psychological manipulation techniques, suggest that the deceased villain's influence extends far beyond young Rachel. Susan Banks' psychic detection of bad vibes emanating from Marlena's body, mind, and soul indicates that the respected psychiatrist may also be experiencing some form of supernatural interference. This development raises terrifying questions about the scope of Stefano's posthumous influence and whether multiple Salem residents might be unknowingly affected by his spiritual presence. The convergence of these supernatural experiences. Rachel's possession-like behavior, Susan's psychic warnings, and Marlena's prophetic dreams, creates a pattern that strongly suggests coordinated spiritual activity rather than isolated incidents. Stefano's spirit appears to be orchestrating a complex, multi-layered campaign of psychological warfare that targets multiple individuals simultaneously. Family dynamics and the DiMera legacy. The relationship between Stefano and his adopted daughter Kristen DiMera adds another crucial dimension to this supernatural mystery. Throughout their complex family history, Stefano demonstrated unwavering devotion to Kristen, treating her as his biological daughter despite the absence of blood relation. This paternal bond extended to his granddaughter Rachel, whom he would have viewed as a continuation of his family legacy and a potential inheritor of DiMera power and influence. Kristen's anticipated return to prison, likely as a result of taking responsibility for Rachel's actions in the shooting, represents the kind of self-sacrificial love that Stefano both understood and manipulated throughout his lifetime. The irony of this situation. That Kristen's protective instincts toward Rachel mirror Stefano's own manipulative use of family loyalty, suggests that the Phoenix's influence continues to shape DiMera family dynamics even after his death. The family's inability to simply report supernatural possession to law enforcement highlights the practical limitations of dealing with otherworldly crimes in a mundane legal system. As one insider noted, Salem's police force isn't equipped to handle cases involving ghostly perpetrators, leaving the family to deal with this supernatural crisis through their own methods and resources. Future implications and Salem's supernatural landscape. The potential confirmation of Stefano DiMera's spiritual return would represent a significant escalation in Salem's ongoing battle against supernatural forces. If the Phoenix has indeed found a way to influence the living world through possession and spiritual manipulation, it suggests that death may no longer serve as an effective barrier against his schemes. This development could fundamentally alter the power dynamics within Salem's criminal underworld and create new categories of threats that traditional law enforcement methods cannot address. The investigation into Rachel's potential involvement in EJ's shooting may ultimately require the combined efforts of both conventional detective work and supernatural intervention. Susan Banks' psychic abilities, Marlena Evans' psychiatric expertise, and the DiMera family's intimate knowledge of Stefano's methods may all prove essential in resolving this otherworldly crisis. The broader implications of this case extend beyond the immediate mystery of EJ's shooting to encompass fundamental questions about the nature of death, justice, and family loyalty in Salem. If a deceased villain can continue to commit crimes through spiritual possession of innocent children, it challenges the entire foundation of the legal system and raises profound ethical questions about accountability and punishment. The Days of Our Lives community now faces the unprecedented challenge of investigating a crime that may have been committed by someone who officially doesn't exist, using a weapon wielded by hands that belong to an innocent child under supernatural influence. This complex scenario represents the ultimate intersection of Salem's supernatural heritage and its ongoing criminal conspiracies, creating a mystery that will require both earthly wisdom and otherworldly intervention to solve. As this extraordinary story continues to unfold, viewers can expect revelations that will challenge everything they thought they knew about the boundaries between life and death, innocence and guilt, and the enduring power of the DiMera family legacy to shape events in Salem long after its patriarch's supposed final demise.